What is your hope for AI in the future? Like, where do you hope this ends up going in the end?
I think the biggest way we hope is what looks like a technology is just infused in a way that makes our lives better. We can clearly see it in the context of an assistant, but the fact we are using the same AI to make your car self-driving in a same way, right? Or using AI to better discover drugs that can target difficult diseases.
Do you? Or do you see an opportunity to use AI technology for more nefarious purposes, like weapons or, surveillance? Now, the individual you just heard from is the CEO of Google. That was an interview he did about 8 months ago. His name is Sundar Pichai, in case you're unfamiliar with him. This week, his company officially removed its pledge to avoid using AI for weapons or surveillance. So let's get into the details here. The company's AI principles previously included a section listing 4 applications we will not pursue. As recently as Thursday, that included weapons, surveillance, technologies that cause or are likely to cause overall harm, and use cases contravening principles of international law and human rights. Now, Google's original guidelines were published back in 2018, and they came after Google employees took a stand and basically protested the company's contract with the Pentagon. Now, an open letter signed by thousands of Google workers read in part, "We believe that Google should not be in the business of war." Now, thanks to that protest, Google decided not to renew its Pentagon contracts. So what's behind this change of heart when it comes to artificial intelligence? Well, Google's senior vice president for technology and society and head of AI wrote a blog post this week to basically explain the company's new principles. They state that they made the change because of a need for companies to serve government and national security clients, AKA we see money-making opportunities in the form of government contracts in regard to Pentagon-related projects. That's what this is really about. So here's the excerpt from their explanation. They write that there's a global competition taking place for AI leadership within an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape. We believe democracies should lead in artificial intelligence development guided by core values like freedom, equality, and respect for human rights. How Orwellian does this sound? But let me continue. And we believe that companies, governments, and organizations sharing these values should work together to create AI that protects people, promotes global growth, and supports national security. War is peace, Cenk.
Yeah, this is the beginning of a movie where somebody does a small news report. And by the way, today Google announced that they will actually develop AI for the military. Nobody pays attention. And by the way, I mean, we're doing this story because we actually care about the news and it's an important story, but most people won't pay attention to this. And to be fair to Google, all the other AI companies are already working with the military. And by the way, you think they're just working with the American military? No, of course, they're also working with the Israeli military. And China's working on it for their military, to be fair to us, right? And the I'm sure the North Koreans are, the South Koreans are, everybody is. So now that we have a race, we're pretty much doomed. So will they develop AI for weapons? Obviously, well, they just announced it, right? And then we gotta hope that they wrote the right code, because if you write the wrong code, as we saw in a Pentagon simulation that we reported on over a year ago, the AI takes out the buildings and destroys everything in its path to get to its objective, because that's the code you wrote. Well, wish us luck.
Yeah, I mean, this is the modern day version of the nuclear arms race, right? The reason why nuclear weapons were developed is because there was a race between various countries to do so. The United States wanted to dominate, and so thus the US beat everyone else in developing nuclear weapons. I mean, obviously other countries were able to develop and obtain nuclear weapons as well. Did that make the globe safer? Obviously not. And I should note the United States, of course, is the only country that did in fact use nuclear weapons against Japan. But to your point, Cenk, you're right. There are other companies that have already begun working as part of the military industrial complex. For instance, OpenAI has partnered with military manufacturer and Anduril, that happened last year. So Anthropic is partnered with defense contractor Palantir. And then you also have Microsoft, which has partnered with the Pentagon for some time now. So this isn't new. Now, let's talk about Google and the IDF a little bit more. So we've learned that the Israeli Defense Ministry has contacted Google in the aftermath of October 7th with an urgent request to basically expand their use of Google AI's services. So a Google employee warned in one document that if the company didn't quickly provide more access, the military would turn instead to Google's cloud rival Amazon, which also works with Israel's government. So look, Google is going to look out for their bottom line. That's how corporations function. And if they see that they're leaving a vacuum in a money-making opportunity, they know that a different corporation is gonna swoop right in and take advantage of that opportunity. So Google's gonna Google. Corporations are gonna do what corporations do. The problem here, Cenk, is we have a government that totally agrees with this, that enables this, that doesn't care about the safety of civilians or human beings or Americans. They care about facilitating the exact type of environment that allows for corporations to maximize their profits with absolutely no care in the world about the future and safety of human beings. Since October 7th, by the way, those requests have continued as recently as November of 2024, by which time a year of Israeli airstrikes had turned much of Gaza to rubble. Documents show Israel's military was still tapping Google for its latest AI technology. So, there you have it. That's what the future holds for Google. And look, every time I hear any tech CEO talk about improving technology or advancing technology to make the lives of everyone better, I can't help but laugh because it reminds me of how the tech industry kept talking about internet advancements as a way of democratizing things, making life better for people. It's never about making life better for people. It's about advancements that lead to maximization of their profits. And that is what the real motivating factor is here for Pichai.
Okay, there are three huge problems here going from terrible to cataclysmic. So let me start at layer one. Silicon Valley, you notice how all of them changed from being considered big time liberals in San Francisco, even donating a lot to the Democratic Party, et cetera, to now being, right-wing, MAGA, et cetera. Well, part of how that happened was Silicon Valley realized, there's lots of money to make from the military-industrial complex. So now they're all rushing to do these dirty deals with the military, with Israel, et cetera. So Silicon Valley, arguably the most powerful place on earth, has now gone and basically started to work with the defense contractors. We're doomed. Okay, number two, this gets worse and worse. So the AI that they use with Israel, I wanted to confirm that it's the program that I thought it was, and it is. Here's a Vox headline from last year, for example, how AI is turbocharging Israel's bombing of Gaza. And so one of the things that they did was they did a program called Where's Daddy? And they would use AI to pick targets, except the targets were nonsensical. Sometimes it was based on a phone number, but then they would be like, a phone number that was called by that phone number, but they weren't even sure about the phone number in the first place. I mean, it was this incredible web just to kill everybody they can get their hands on, totally detached from actual human beings making those incredibly important moral decisions. And why the reason it was called Where's Daddy is that whatever the target that the AI picked, they would wait for them to go home so they could kill all of their family members as well, their children, their spouses, everyone. And that was an AI program. So that the death machine has already begun. Okay, now I haven't gotten to the worst part. People who know AI really well, after DeepSeek came out, the Chinese version, they all were apocalyptic. This thing's going much faster than we expected. What if they program it to hack into either Chinese or American national security headquarters? AI is smarter than us. You're sure that they can't hack into our systems that hold the nukes? We're in a lot of trouble, guys. I don't know what's gonna happen, but a lot of it is very, very bad.
If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.